What's up guys, Rip here. E3 is done, it's in the books, and here is my full event recap. First up, Street Fighter V impressions. I gotta play the game more, I gotta try out Nash, I gotta try out Birdie, I gotta see more of Cammy, and first of all, like I said before, the graphics, when you see the game from like 5 feet away, it's kinda like, oh, okay, it looks kinda like Street Fighter 4, but when you see it up close, it is awesome. So, if you're weary at all about the graphics, you don't gotta be. Number 2, chip damage. Also, chip damage in the game. Really interesting concept. It is regenerable life, but there is a sort of a chip damage system now in the game, and also you cannot die at the end of a round by chip damage unless it's from a super. So that's really new and it's different for Street Fighter. I'm not really used to having chip damage in a Street Fighter game, so that's something that's new that I'm gonna have to get used to. But definitely the thing that stands out most to me about the game is the V-trigger system. It's definitely like Killer Instinct's instinct system, and I'm most looking forward to seeing how they implement the V-triggers for all the other characters that are going to be released in the game. Also, there are some early bugs. I mean, the beta's not even out yet, so that's expected. But right now in the corner, Charlie, I forget what kick it is. Maybe it's his medium kick. It basically doesn't cross from the corner, and the way it hits on both sides, so it's an unblockable in the corner. Early bugs, but hey, they'll fix it. Regarding the beta access, they finally let us know that it's going to be from July 23rd until July 28th. So it's only a 5-day beta, but they also said that there are going to be more beta opportunities coming throughout the year. Also, the game is going to be available at Six Flags around the country, July to December. The remainder of the year, starting next month, if you have a Six Flags near you, there's going to be some Street Fighter V action there. They also announced that it's going to be at BET Experience. Kanye West was there playing the game, so things are kind of crazy. So the other thing at E3 that was supposed to be big this year was VR. Now, I kickstarted Oculus, I got the DK1, the first development kit that they released. I've been excited about VR ever since. I think it's got a lot of potential, so I was really excited to see what it's going to be this year. But there was maybe, 5 to 10% of the show floor, maybe 5%. I'm going to go with 5% or less that was actually dedicated to VR. So VR, to me, had a really small impact this year, and I thought it was going to be a lot bigger. And that's a little worrisome for me, but let me get into that in a second. So basically, Morpheus, I had an appointment, overslept, so I missed it. My bad. Oculus, their meetings were packed from day one, so I didn't even get to try out the newest version, which is going to be released early next year. Morpheus is also scheduled to be released in the first half of next year. When it comes to gaming in VR, I feel like there really isn't anything out there that shows this is what a complete game is going to be like in VR. I feel like developers still haven't nailed that down yet. So early next year, I think we're going to get some gaming things, but I think most of it is going to be sort of like 3D movies. It's cool to see it, but it's not necessary. So that's really worrisome for me, because I think there's a lot more potential for VR than just that. So right now it's looking a little bit bad for me with Morpheus, and I'm more interested in Oculus because on PC, anyone can put out a demo of anything on VR and you can just try something out. So right now, as far as VR goes, I'm looking forward to the Oculus still. Also, around the Oculus booth, there was a bunch of little vendors that had like motion controls, because motion controls is something that also has not been figured out yet, and Oculus announced that they're shipping every Oculus with an Xbox One wireless controller, because wireless, of course, for VR makes a little bit more sense. You're gonna have this controller in your hands, yada yada, but it doesn't track where your hands are, right? Sony, they've got like controllers that have the PlayStation Move in it, so it'll track your hands a little bit better, because it's got the lights on to track with your PS camera, etc. But obviously you're gonna need more accessories. But at least they have something to track your hands in virtual space. These other companies, though, they had really weird things. So there's a company called Nod. They had a little ring on your finger, and you wear this ring, and then basically you can do hand gestures like, swipes or whatever, and your characters in game can respond with it. They showed a game where it's like you're casting spells with your hand. There's another one that showed like what it'd be like to hold a gun and then like turn your gun sideways and keep shooting by like tapping the buttons on the ring. So that was all interesting stuff, but it seems like no one really has it figured out yet. Oh, there's also a company that had gloves that you wore so that you could actually see your hands and move them around in 3D space. So no one's really sure where any of this stuff is going to go yet. It seems like nothing is in final form, and it seems like that's still the biggest hurdle for gaming in VR, or just for VR in general. There were also companies out there that had those like hula hoop things around your waist and like a treadmill on the bottom, so you could run in place with the VR headset on, and that translates into the game. And I always thought it was like an actual treadmill below your feet rolling, but it looks like some of them you just wear like these like sock things over your feet, over your shoes, I should say, and it allows you to like run in place on this thing that just senses where your feet are. I don't even know how it works, but those contraptions are crazy. I have no idea about the pricing on those things, but they take up a lot of space, and I doubt that many people are going to get it. Also, watching people run around while holding a virtual gun and like it looks immersive, but at the same time it also looks insanely tiring. Like, can you imagine, like, if the thing has like a weight sensor and it's saying like, you are fat, and in game you're represented by a fat dude, and you're gonna be like the slow guy holding back your team in FPS? I don't see it translating well. I really don't. So basically, my verdict with VR, 2016, it's gonna come out, you're gonna get your headsets, but the content is not going to be there for it. And really, I think the potential for VR is still going to be with non-gaming applications. So if you're interested in gaming for VR, I don't think there's a killer app yet for it that's going to really sell it for gaming. Out of everything I saw at E3 though, aside from Street Fighter V, because that's the one I'm obviously going to play, the game that got me most excited is Star Wars Battlefront. Now, I still don't know a whole lot about how the game's going to work. I really like games that have a traditional story, single-player campaign element in them, but I feel like they're taking the Titanfall model, which is like, we have a single-player campaign, but it's actually you just playing online with a bunch of real people while the story narrative goes on. And to me, that sucks. That completely sucks. And so, you know, maybe they're going to do it better than the Titanfall guys did it, but I am a little skeptical about them. But all that aside, I still think Star Wars Battlefront looks like an amazing game, and I'm really looking forward to it. One of the indie games that stood out to me was Cuphead. Now, I'm not really into platformers much, but it's got like this 1920s or 30s like animated art style, and it looks really cool. So yeah, I mean, it's got some co-op element. Hopefully I'll find someone else. I'll play that and stream that later this year. Also, I'm really interested in Rainbow Six. I mean, I haven't played Rainbow Six in a while, but those games are always fairly interesting to me. And, you know, the destructible environment seems pretty cool. So, you know, seems like it'll be fun. There's a new Tomb Raider game coming out later this year. I'm looking forward to that. New Forza 6 is coming out. I got the Mad Catz Racing Wheel. Can't wait to try that out with it. Fallout 4, Uncharted 4. I haven't really played either of those series, but obviously they look like good games. You know, if I can catch up with them a little bit, then maybe I'll play it, but seems doubtful. Dark Souls 3, you know, I actually own Dark Souls 1 and 2, and I've been meaning to play them. I played Bloodborne, didn't finish it, so I'm thinking about maybe finishing Bloodborne, and if I can play some Dark Souls game, I'm probably going to get to Dark Souls 3 as well. Final Fantasy VII, the remake is happening, but I've never played a Final Fantasy game. Of course, Last Guardian got announced again, so people know it's still alive, but graphically it looks exactly like it did previously. And I played most of Shadow of the Colossus, and I really like that game as well, and it's supposed to be some kind of like spiritual successor, etc. And you know, it's interesting to me that way, but the trailer just did not really get me excited for it. And with the long gap in what they've shown, since it wasn't really a big graphical improvement, I'm a little let down. I'm a little concerned about it. So not really sure what to think about Last Guardian anymore. The only new IP that I thought was pretty interesting was Horizon, which is made by Guerrilla Games, who are the guys who made the Killzone series. I'm not sure if it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive game because it is from the guys who made Killzone, but if it is, then, you know, that would be kind of cool for the PlayStation. And the game looks pretty interesting. It's got like these mech dinosaur things, and like it's a third-person kind of game, so it's not just another FPS game. Speaking of first-person shooters, Doom, the new one, looks pretty cool, I think. I mean, it is very generic in some ways. Like, when you shoot the bodies, they just kind of explode into squares. I feel like they could really make it look like blood squirty and look better, more like the original Doom games. Doom was actually the first FPS game that I ever played, so it's got a special place in my heart. The chainsaw is freaking amazing in that game, but that was kind of the only thing that really stood out to me in the trailer. I saw a separate gameplay trailer that was them in hell, I think, and it didn't look very hellish. It was kind of green instead of red, but there was a lot more monsters, there was a lot more fast-paced action, and that to me reminded me of Doom's original gameplays. I know a lot of people are probably going to look at it and say, oh, this is just another generic shooter, but to me, it looks like Doom, which is a lot better than Doom 3 was. I'm also really looking forward to the multiplayer aspect of Doom because they've got like the snap map thing where anyone can just mod it and upload it immediately. So that sounds really cool. Other big E3 news, I mean, Xbox One announced that they're going to have backwards compatibility for Xbox 360 games. You'll have to digitally download them, so you put in your old disc and then it digitally downloads it to your hard drive, I think. It's a cool feature, but I feel like they should have had that at launch. I don't know how effective that's going to be for them now. Oh, the other games I'm really excited about are Guitar Hero Live and Rock Band 4. So these are both obviously guitar, you know, band, fake instruments, yada yada. But they've been really fun games for me. And Guitar Hero Live is really interesting because now they have 2 rows of buttons for the guitar. So that's kind of more like a real guitar, and I'm really looking forward to trying that game out when it comes out. Rock Band 4, when you see the game, it really feels like, oh, it's just the same Rock Band except now it's on a next-gen system. But the cool thing is you can plug in all your old instruments, so that's cool, right? But I talked to one of the Microsoft staff there, and they were telling me more about the game, and apparently there's this new guitar solo system, there's a new vocal solo system, even a new drum fill solo section, so it looks like they've really taken the Rock Band game that you had before, and they've kind of enhanced it. So it is kind of an upgrade. You know, the core gameplay is still going to be pretty much identical to what you would expect from an old Rock Band game. So I'm really looking forward to just, you know, hanging out with my friends and playing that some more as well. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Street Fighter V, of course, the thing I'm most excited about. Then Star Wars Battlefront, probably Forza 6, and the new Tomb Raider game are probably the ones that I'm excited about in that order afterwards. You know, so the next year is going to be pretty fun for everybody. Of course, the biggest letdown is that there's nothing Tekken 7 related going on right now. Hopefully we'll get to hear something about that soon and we'll all get our hands on that. But for now, you know, these are the games we're going to be playing. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I feel like I forgot something, but I can't remember what it would be. So whatever. You know, if you guys like me doing these type of videos, let me know, because I'm still a little wishy-washy on whether or not I want to do these things or not. They're informative. They're not too hard to put together, so I don't mind doing them. Of course, you guys can subscribe to this channel if you guys want to see more, and I will catch you guys next time. Whoa!